Those Were the Days is filmed before a live internet audience.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Those Were the Days, the show where we go back and watch old TV as if it were new again. I am this week's host, Amy, and let me tell you, have I got a show for you tonight? If my two dads didn't provide you with enough father figures, we've got a good one today, but I can't raise these children on my own. I need the neat one, Audie.
Hello, Central Casting. Oh, you got a new show, huh? It's like 3 men and a baby, but it's 3 men, a baby, a little girl, and a young teenager with an idiot friend. Okay, then, what do you need from us? Oh, you got the girls, you just need the men. What are we looking for? Okay, straight-laced nerdy dad, cool musician uncle, and funny comedian best friend. Well, look, I know a couple of comedian guys that could do the first and the last one, no problem. One of them's an absolute foul mouth. He'd be perfect for the dad. The other one is fine as a comedian. He could do voices too, might be useful. Now the musician, you know what? I just saw the Beach Boys in concert and they had a bit of a hunky guy on drums. Let me see if I can track him down for you. All right, be in touch.
We have the musical one, Steven.
Yeah, hey Jeff, I'm going over this show title and I don't get it. A full house is 2 cards of one kind and 3 cards of another kind. Now, if we assume Danny, Joey, and Jesse are kings, then we need 2 more cards. Now, the kids are all girls, so they could be queens, but that means we only get 2 of them. So you could cut Michelle. Now, in my opinion, Michelle is your ace. People love little kids. Every time she opens her mouth, they'll laugh. So we're kind of in a pickle with this. I guess Joey is your joker, so we could toss him. Oh, what? It's not a metaphor? Then why am I working so hard?
And the funny one, Travis.
I've been working on some catchphrases for everybody. I wanna just run this one by you. I want to see what you think about this as a catchphrase. Okay, are you ready? You ready? Huh?
Oh, you. Yes, that's right. We're talking about the pillar of TGIF. It is Full House. I can't believe that we hadn't gotten here before now, somehow.
Absolutely
Uh,
crazy.
Yeah.
But here we are. Full House, which ran from September 1987 to May of 1995 with 192 episodes. Now, there are quite a few lists of episodes, like best episodes ever, whatever, right? Like a lot of times we have to go by the IMDb ratings, but there are several outside sources who have named the top episodes for this particular show. And let me
Sure.
tell you, this one on most of the lists is like 5 or 6. And I chose it because everything above that was a bummer.
Oh.
It was just simply not like, Uncle Jesse's favorite grandpa comes to visit and dies in his sleep. Like we just can't. We
Ooh.
just
Oh,
can't.
no,
We just
no.
can't do this.
Yeah, no.
And this is the one where actually I feel like if I had like upon rewatching it, I was like, oh no, I do actually remember a lot of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
So I grew up in a TGIF house for sure. I watched a lot of Full House. But what about you boys? Audie, how about you? You in Full House?
Oh, definitely. It was appointment viewing in our house for sure. And like to the point where like I distinctly remember we recorded an episode on our VCR. It was the episode where everybody got chicken pox.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, we just rewatched that one all the time. So I distinctly have this memory of them singing "Working on the Chain" as they're trying to scratch each other with
That's
mittens and
right.
gloves on.
With the mittens.
Mhm.
Tape off.
But yeah,
Oh.
all about Full House for sure.
Travis, how about you?
I mean, same. We were also a TGIF house, so watched a lot of Full House. And in reruns too. It was just one of those shows that you could kind of always count on because it was the definition of family sitcom.
Steven?
Yeah, that same. I mean, TGIF ruled America, apparently. I mean, it came on and you were watching it. So, yeah, we watched a ton of Full House, which is weird because I don't remember watching a lot of it. I remember it being on a lot, and I remember it being in syndication. And I mean, I definitely spent time with the Tanners, but it wasn't like it didn't form core memories in me. Like, I
Sure.
remember watching a lot of it, but it's like I watched it but mostly because I was there. Like, not really just, I was just in the
Yeah.
room where it happened. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
The room where it happened.
Um, I have a couple of weird John Stamos things. So I did my first concert ever was a Beach Boys concert with John Stamos.
Wow.
Yep.
And then
Yeah,
when I was
kids,
in
if
high
you ever
school,
wonder why the Beach Boys would cameo a couple times on the
yeah,
show,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
why.
I didn't
yeah.
know that until you said that like 2 minutes ago. I had no
Mhm.
clue, and now it all made so much more sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then in high school, we used to do an annual trip to like the theater department put on an annual trip, like a weekend trip to New York, and we would see 2 shows. And I was very excited one year because we were going to see How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, starring Matthew Broderick. And I was so excited. And then the week before we were going, it switched over from How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying with Matthew Broderick to How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying with John Stamos, which is a different vibe.
Oh,
It's a very
yeah.
different vibe.
It was still pretty good though, but it's not the same. It is
Not even
not the
close.
So-
same energy.
Yeah.
One thing though, I read and I did not know this until today that when this series started, John Stamos was 21,
Wow.
according to trivia,
Wow.
Yeah, that's
Which- kind of rocked my brain a little bit because I just I never would have clocked him as being that young at the start of the series at all.
he doesn't look that young, but I don't know if it's because I was so young that he looked old and he always will look
think-
older than me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's probably a good part of it.
Quite
His
possible.
his
Yeah.
mullet was something
Well,
else on episode
so-
1 too.
If it
Oh,
was
yeah.
87,
No, he had to have been older
he's
than
older
that because
than
he's
that,
born in
'cause he's born in-
1963.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can do math.
I mean, but
so
not
what?
significantly.
Yeah, 23.
No,
Like
still
not
in his mid-20s,
significantly
but like
older.
but mid-20s is a lot different than 2021.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, all right. IMDb trivia, you have failed me yet again.
Yeah, your
Absolutely.
math is bad and you should feel
Now
bad.
he does. The Greek yogurt commercials.
Right.
Which is funny because originally his last name was not Jesse. It wasn't Kostopoulos. It was
No,
like
it was
Carmichael or something. It was very generic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And they changed him to having Cochrane. Yeah. Ugh, that doesn't even
Yeah.
Kostopoulos. That gives you character. That adds some
Mhm.
gravitas.
So Full House is the story of Danny Tanner, whose wife has passed away, and he is left with his 3 girls. And so he calls upon Joey, his best friend from childhood, and Jesse, his brother-in-law, to move in and help him take care of these girls. And given that one of them is a comedian and the other's a musician, I feel like knowing now as an adult, I know they probably just didn't really have anywhere else to go.
They did.
Yeah.
Jesse'd been sleeping in his car, and
Yeah, they're in
Joey.
San Francisco, man. That is not a cheap place to live.
No.
not at all. They got
No,
a
even
big house.
even then.
Yeah, so the children, you have DJ played by Candace Cameron, which at the time was a big deal because we also grew up watching Kirk Cameron.
Yep.
Mhm.
And so this was like a thing back. I remember that pretty solidly. Jodie Sweetin played Stephanie Tanner, and Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen played Lil Michelle, who is great. and is particularly good in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And they were credited as Mary Kate Ashley Olsen in this episode in like early seasons. They
Yeah.
didn't let people know it was twins playing the role,
Yeah.
even though if you paid attention, you could kind of tell. I, as a kid, didn't know until later on, but
I knew because my parents worked in TV,
mhm.
and so like, because that's like a rule, like they have to be,
Mm-hmm.
because at that age they can only be you can only be on for so long,
Yeah.
so you need two of
Mhm.
them
Yeah.
to get it done. So the episode we watched was season 3, episode 20, Honey, I Broke the House. And I remembered more of this than I thought. So we start with a cold open of um they're playing t-ball in the backyard, Michelle. And Joey's trying to teach her how to play baseball. And she knocks the ball off the tee. And he's like, run for first. And she picks up the ball, and he's like, he's trying to do this play-by-play of this insane toddler trying to play t-ball. And
Which is
the
very
payoff
accurate.
it's really good. And the
Mhm.
payoff of the joke is good because he's like, run home, Michelle, run home. And so she
Yeah.
runs into the kitchen and she's like, I'm home. This game is so easy. So cute.
I actually felt
And then
like
comes-
she did a better job than my toddler ever did.
Yeah.
So I'm actually
Oh,
real
yeah.
impressed by the training. I don't know what kind of cookies they give her after she's a successful take.
Yeah.
But those kids, they were actors from the get
There's
go.
there's a
Mhm.
good video that makes the rounds every now and then of like a little tiny little league or t-ball game, and like the caption on the video is always like, every time watch a different kid.
Yes.
And it's just unhinged what's
Oh, yeah.
happening.
Mhm.
So then we get the very iconic opening of this show. The theme song is classic for sure. And then like my sister lives outside of San Francisco, and so we went
Mm.
a few years ago, we went and stayed in San Francisco for a week, and going to the park to go see the street, like that's like a thing, to go see the painted ladies in San Francisco. And you go, ooh,
Sure.
it's the Full House opening. Ooh.
Mhm.
What I found interesting was that's outside of one episode in the final season. That's the only stuff they shot in San Francisco for the show.
Yeah.
Is the opening
Yeah.
credits.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then there was
Yeah.
one episode at the end where the dog goes on an adventure or something, and they shot that in San Francisco, but the rest of it was not.
Why would you
Yeah.
pay San Francisco money when you don't have to?
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's one of those like bar trivia TV theme songs. 100% of the time you get that one.
Oh yeah.
No
Oh no,
problem.
it
Oh,
was
yeah.
in my
Mhm.
head all day, and I hadn't watched the
Mhm.
episode yet.
Yeah.
But it was just in my head.
That thing just lives in your brain. That's the, like you were saying before, like that's the sound that comes on. You're like, gotta run pee. I have 30 seconds
Yeah.
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
get through this. And
Gotta
I
go.
remember
You know,
every
Is the
scene.
popcorn ready?
Yeah.
Mhm. And it's one of those where like, okay, this is season 3 because I remember them cutting down the intro at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah.
It's like, where's more of the song? Oh, wait, season 3. Okay.
Yeah, there's a deliberate, and you can feel it. The cut is not seamless,
Mhm.
where they like dropped an entire verse or something.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah.
wait a
Yeah.
minute, because it jarred me. It's like, hold on just a second.
So DJ and Kimmy Gibbler from next door. I
Yeah,
love Kimmy Gibbler.
I love Kimmy.
Kimmy's great.
Kimmy's who I want to be.
Yeah. They've got their Discman and their
Yep.
2 sets of headphones, and they're doing homework. And Stephanie comes in and is like, good news, 20 minutes till dance class. Who wants to play with me? And there's a great line because DJ's like, can't you see I'm doing our homework?
Yeah, that was really good.
It was very good.
Because when you see it at the beginning of the scene, you see DJ doing it and Kimmy just looking over and then copying. And it's like, is she copying her homework? And then they just admit it. It's like,
No, they're not. There's no secret there. They're
Yeah,
aware
it was
of the
real
deal.
good.
Mm-hmm.
And so Stephanie, like, she winds up going downstairs, and Danny's there with Becky, and they're working on stuff for the show, and she's like, 18 minutes till dance class, who wants to play with me? And they're like, look, we're trying to get some work done, like, would love to.
Yeah, can we go
So
back just a second and throw out the Milli
yeah,
Vanilli reference that happened?
Oh my
Right?
It's
gosh.
because there's
Yeah.
Oh,
multiple
yeah.
songs in this episode,
yes,
and I
there are
laughed so
multiple
hard
songs
when
in
they were
this.
singing "Blame It
Mhm.
on the Rain,"
Yep.
and I couldn't.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, is this before the Milli Vanilli shenanigans occurred? Like,
Yes, it
was that where
was.
we're
Yep. It
dating?
was.
Uh-huh.
Threw me.
Mhm.
I chuckled so much. I was like, oh, they're in for a rude awakening in a few months.
Well, that and just Michelle's follow up was super cute. Rain, rain, go
Oh, you
away.
go away.
Yep.
Again,
So
my
good.
friend Joey, not Joey Gladstone, but my friend Joey that I know, back when I was a kid, and like we were 11 or 12, he said, watch Full House, and every time Michelle says anything, people laugh. And I said, oh, okay, I'll check that out next time. It's true. Every
Oh, it's
time that little girl
absolutely
opens
true.
her mouth,
Yep.
laughter. It doesn't matter
She's
what she says.
so cute.
Yeah, she's
No,
too
it
cute.
doesn't matter. She's too cute.
Mhm.
So Stephanie eventually finds Uncle Joey backyard with his new car, Rosie. It is a nice car.
It's
It's a
pretty.
very
I
nice
don't know
car.
how you're buying that
Oh,
on comedian
whoa, whoa,
money,
whoa.
but
Before we get too far, Jesse comes in and talks to Rebecca about some stuff.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah,
yeah. So
important.
there's a side plot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. She's got a business dinner
Mm-hmm.
with a guy.
Yep.
Now look, Uncle Jesse has clearly not looked in the mirror lately. Because I'm pretty sure he's fine. Like, you're good, my dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I kind of put it out of my mind because it really irritated me the whole time. Like, I was like, just don't, man, don't.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's some
Um,
insecurity there that doesn't need to be there that he needs to
Yeah.
work through.
yeah. I mean, this is pretty early on in their relationship.
And
I think.
Danny's not helping anything either, right?
No.
That's the
No.
whole
not.
that's the whole
He's-
gag.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Danny's just clueless. Like, yeah. 30-year-old ex-quarterback, neurosurgeon, Bay Area's most eligible bachelor.
Yeah.
Great.
That's all.
Cool.
Jesse's all
That's
like,
fine.
dinner with this guy,
Uh-huh.
huh? Yeah. Okay.
Sure. So Stephanie eventually finds Uncle Joey out in the backyard with his new car, Rosie. And it's really funny because he's like, I don't know how he bought this car, first of all.
No,
Second
I
of
have
all,
no idea.
I don't know why it's in the backyard. Third of
Yeah,
all,
how'd he get it
Mhm.
back there? Was it airlifted
how
in?
did you get it in the backyard?
Yeah.
What in the world?
Yeah. And then, but irrelevant. So he's there and he's looking at it and he's like, oh no. And he puts his like head down on the car. And Stephanie's like, what's the matter, Joey? And he goes, Nick. Oh, what's the matter, Nick? It's a pretty
That
good
was a cute
one.
joke. Yeah.
That was
It's a
good.
was
pretty
good.
cute joke. Like, just roll with it. Like, that's the thing about kids, though. Like, they will
Mhm.
just roll with it. Like, sure.
Mhm.
No, there's a nick in the paint. I gotta
Okay,
go.
so I just looked at the painted ladies in San Francisco. They're not getting a car back there. It's not happening.
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Most of them
Yeah.
don't even have driveways.
Nope. There's
Like,
no car and there's no backyard.
There's no parking in San
gonna say.
Francisco. No. No, and
Nope.
because they're all like 2 feet apart. You
Yeah.
can like
Mhm.
hand the Grey
Mhm.
Poupon across the way. You know what I mean? Like, you know, hey, can I borrow a cup of sugar? Yeah, here, out the
Great
kitchen window.
poupon. We really need to do that
Remember
retro
with the
commercials episode.
limos? Remember,
Yeah, we
we do
do.
need to do a commercials
We
episode.
need to do a
We
retro
And that would be
really
great
commercial.
because we could probably play them.
We could.
And
It'd
it
be
would be
great.
Oh,
good.
Mhm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what we should do. Play them ourselves and then see how accurate we are to them.
Recreate this commercial.
Uh-huh.
And then we
Yes.
play it. This is a good game, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, we got something here
Um,
Take
mhm.
notes for next year's Dragon
for the
Con
next
episode.
live show. Yeah.
So Joey's gonna go off to the auto body shop, the conveniently walkable auto body shop, to go get some touch-up paint. and
Right.
he takes Comet with him because we had to put a dog in the show because everybody loves a dog. It's
Yeah,
a
of
good
course.
dog. But
Let's break
It's
all
true.
the rules of making movies or TV. Work with
yeah,
kids
yeah, don't
and
work with children
animals.
or animals.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mhm.
Let's just, I mean, we've already done one.
Just
Why not
Yeah.
both?
load it up.
At that point.
Um, so her last avenue of entertainment gone, Stephanie decides that she's going to get acquainted with Rosie. Um, she gets in the car, and I take issue with this part in a way that I would not like. There were so many other ways it could have gone. Because as a child, I have an older brother and sister, and my older brother, there's 17 years between us, right? Like he is 17 years older than I am. So he was like a grown up ish type person. And he had this old truck, and he put me in the driver's seat of the old truck. And my mother said, "Don't do that." And he said, "What's she gonna do?" And the answer was, "Put it in neutral and roll it down the driveway." So
Mhm.
that, like, when I knew what was going to happen in this episode, that was kind of where I was going with it. Like, oh,
Mhm.
you know what I mean? Like you pop it in neutral and it rolls into the house. No, so she wants to turn the radio on, which there's a good payoff joke in this
Mhm.
one.
Yeah, there is.
There's
Um,
several of those.
yeah, so she's looking and she sees the R and she's like, "Oh, well, she turns it on first.
She knows
Turns the
enough to
car
crank
on.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, which I definitely did. I mean, my sister back when there were no airbags and so children could sit in the front seat. We had an old Subaru with a stick shift, and my sister, when she was like 4, used to sit in the passenger seat and my dad would let her shift. It's pretty good. So it was a wild. The 80s were a wild time,
Yeah.
Oh
everybody.
yeah. Oh, it was the
Oh,
Wild
yeah.
It was a
West.
good
You can do
time.
anything you wanted back then.
um, so she's looking and she's like, "Oh, R must be for radio," because she hits a few buttons on the dashboard. R must be for radio, so she gets it into R, and her feet, which are nowhere near the pedals, was the part that got me. I was like, her feet are not anywhere near the pedals.
That
Mm-mm.
got me
But
too.
nonetheless, you know what I mean? Like I was
Yeah.
like, oh. But the car does go rocketing into the kitchen.
Mhm.
It's got a high idle, that car.
It
Yeah,
does
fair
have
enough.
a
Yeah, it
high
does.
It has a
idle.
very high idle. And also, it must have been before they made you put your foot on the brake before you shifted into gear.
Yeah.
I was
Mhm.
bothered by multiple things during
Yeah.
this. And I was like, this generally would not happen.
I think I
Yeah.
had a note that was like, "This wouldn't happen, but we'll just go with
you
it."
will just
We
go
just
with
have
it.
to go with it.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
fine. Like there were ways it could have kind of happened, and none of them were this.
None of them,
Yeah.
none of
Okay.
them was that. Yeah. We're like, we're making a
So
show for ABC. Calm down, everybody.
it's fine. It's fine.
Mhm.
Cars in the house. That's all that matters. Oh, I
Which
missed
that was
the
a
part
great
at the
line though, where
well,
Stephanie ends up in the house with the
yeah.
"I'm in the car, but I'm also in the
in the
house."
house.
Mhm. I love how she climbed out the back too. Like she
Yeah.
I
climbs
mean,
out
she
the back
had
of the
to.
car
There
and
was
gets out
like
the rear door.
debris. She's like,
Sure,
what happened? Um,
but that
by
she's
the way,
just aware enough to do that.
the
Mm-hmm.
part the part where she's like looking for people to play with in the beginning and she starts to tell because Danny's like, "Oh, well, we're looking for stories," and she's like, you should talk about my day." So
Mm-hmm.
I woke up with the eye crispies. And it's so funny because that very specific thing about the eye crispy story ingrained in my brain. And I don't know why. But that happened and I was like, I very specifically remember this. Anyway, she's now the cars in the kitchens. Now, apparently everyone else is gone. Because I feel like gonna hear a car
Right?
drive through the wall
Right.
of the house.
Even
There's a
if you
lot of
don't
like
hear it, you would
You
feel
feel
that.
it. I thought the same
Yeah.
thing.
because
Because
Jesse's room's in the attic, right?
Well,
Or
Jesse's not
he's
there.
upstairs.
All
Jesse
the
went
adults
to-
are gone.
Oh no, he's
All
not
the
there. He
adults are
left.
gone. Kimmy and
There's
Oh,
just
that's right.
DJ
Yeah.
and Kimmy
and
and
DJ
Michelle.
are in charge.
And
Yeah.
even
Right,
if
'cause they
DJ
don't
and
know.
Kimmy have the headphones on and can't technically hear, you're
Right.
They would
gonna
feel it.
feel it.
But that
Yeah.
was clever writing, though, because they knew we would sit there and be like, why didn't they come downstairs immediately? Oh, they
Right.
had
Oh, they
these
can't hear
supreme
you.
headphones on where they couldn't
Yeah.
hear
Yeah.
anything.
The magical
including-
TV movie headphones.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I have noise
Paid good
canceling
money for
headphones that don't
those,
work
man.
that good.
But somebody did hear it.
Yeah, Michelle.
Michelle.
All right, so then this is the other part of this episode that was ingrained in my head. And it's the way she walks in and says, "There's a car in the kitchen."
Yup.
She
Yep.
did so good.
She did so good. She did the most. Kid
Yeah.
actors doing the most. And it's so good because it keeps happening.
Mhm.
And no one believes her because that's ridiculous.
And oh, Michelle, you're so cute.
You're
Yeah.
so cute. So she goes up. They go upstairs. Stephanie's packing a bag because
Yeah.
she clearly needs to leave,
Yeah.
Right.
and I don't blame her.
Yeah.
I would have done the same. And I'm trying. What song were Kimmy and DJ singing?
Oh.
Paul Abdul.
no.
Oh, it's Paul
Straight
Abdul.
up.
Paula
Yep.
Abdul. Straight up.
Way
Yeah.
off key.
So
Mm.
off key.
Way off key. It was.
But that's fine.
That's fine. They're
What we
12.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Michelle comes in and it's like, "Hey, there's a car in the kitchen." And DJ's like, "Yep, and there's a bus in the bathroom." And then she sees that Steph is packing a bag. It's like, "Why are you packing a bag?" "Well, I have dance class and it's a dress rehearsal and I need some dressing to rehearse. I have to rehearse some dressing." "Oh,
Mhm.
okay." And then the car honks out front for her ride to dance class. There's a lot of unsupervised children in this
This was-
episode.
yeah.
Like even for
Mhm.
the
Again,
80s, 90s,
so-
I'm like, surely we watched the
Nah.
toddler though.
Yeah.
That's what DJ was for. DJ was there to watch Michelle.
But she was doing her homework.
I understand.
Yeah.
Right.
And nobody.
She's not doing a good
Very
job of
clearly
it.
Not.
She was just
I'm not
conveniently
putting
up
this
in her
on
room doing
DJ.
it.
I'm just not. I refuse to.
Just like they're in the same house, therefore, they're being watched. They're taking care of each other.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot of like they assume Joey's got it. Joey assumes Jesse's got it. You know what I mean? Like
Yep. Oh,
everybody
yeah.
thinks
Sure.
somebody else is
Uh-huh.
on it.
Oh, this is three
Mhm.
dads. That's absolutely what's
Yeah.
happening. And
Yeah,
then,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I
Yeah.
have a bone to pick with this carpool driver later. But this carpool
Yes,
driver
I do
is
too. Yes.
vastly irresponsible and
Yes,
needs to
yes,
be
yes.
talked to.
Yes, I also clocked that. All right, so she's gone. So is it next? Is next when they come home? Was it
Yeah.
next when
First,
Jesse comes
DJ
home?
and Kimmy go downstairs.
Yeah,
Oh,
find
they
it.
go
yeah.
upstairs.
And they're like,
Yeah.
"There's
Yeah.
a car in the kitchen." And
Michelle's
Michelle,
like,
"I
Yeah.
told you so."
Uh-huh. And
Doing
We
the
had
most.
we also had our third pop music reference in the episode because as they're walking into the kitchen, they're talking about New Kids on the Block.
Yes,
Oh,
they are.
oh, yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
So
Danny, Donnie, Joe, John, Jordan.
They're still around and touring.
Yeah,
They got
they
new music.
sure are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for them.
It is good for them. I'm glad. I was very into them. I mean, I had to, like, I was contractually obligated.
yes,
I
you
had a
were the target
swatch
demo.
somewhere. I
Yeah.
wish I could find it. Like, if somewhere my New Kids on the Block swatch still exists, it's probably worth an awful lot of money. And I'm
Maybe.
like,
Yeah.
For
So
some reason,
good.
I had this New Kids on the Block toy that was like you would put you could put different heads in pants and like jackets on them and put a piece over and do
oh
it a
yeah,
rubbing,
yeah,
like a little rubbing
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
I had one of
Yeah.
those. I don't know why.
I
I
had
never
one of
listened to
those.
them, But I would play with that on the floor and do the little
Great.
rubbings like Indiana
Yeah,
Jones.
I had
It
one
was
of
awesome.
those. Yeah, so okay, this is a problem because there is in fact a car in the kitchen. Um this is where all of my notes just fall apart. So y'all are gonna have to like
We
pull me
got
through
you.
here.
This is
Yeah.
where my
Okay.
attention started to perk up, so we got it.
Right, so then this is where Jesse comes in.
Okay, so this is where Jesse comes
Yeah,
in.
with the carrying the groceries.
Oh yeah,
conveniently
yeah, because he
in front
comes
of
in
his
the back
face.
door and he's like, the groceries are in front of his face, and he's like feeling the car.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like,
because he keeps
surely-
running into the car.
Yeah.
At no point between okay.
Listen, I was more distracted by the fact that we had paper bags of groceries and there was not one baguette sticking out of any of
Not
those
one
bags.
baguette.
Oh,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
but this bothers me.
Carrot
Mhm.
greens.
Yeah,
Yep,
something.
carrot greens or
Mhm.
celery, something like not. Come on, this is the
Yeah,
this
there
is
were
the
paper
immovable
towels, though.
trope.
Yeah,
I know.
the prop team was not on their A game that
I was
day. They just
very
filled it
bummed
with
out by
they
that.
filled it with packing peanuts and toilet paper.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so he's like feeling the car where the table sort of should be, and it was pretty good. That was a pretty good reaction.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I did like that, and we got his catchphrase right
Oh
because
yeah.
everybody
have
had their
mercy. Yes.
most of them had catchphrases.
Yeah.
I think Danny
Yes.
was like the only one who didn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because Joey was cut it out.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Have
Um,
mercy.
Have mercy. I'm
Which,
trying to think,
thinking about it,
Michelle-
it's probably good that Bob Saget's character didn't have catchphrases because who knows what that would have been.
No.
It would have. It would not, none of them would have made it past standards and practices.
No.
Mhm.
No. I've heard he has a top-notch version of the Aristocrat.
He does.
I've never
He
I've never
does.
heard it, but
He does.
I've heard of it.
Listeners,
Gilbert
if you don't know
Gottfried.
what that is, don't Google it. You're
Don't-
better off.
No. Yeah,
don't.
no. Because Bob Saget as a comedian is the very opposite of Danny Tanner.
He's the
Yes. It's
filthiest.
very much so.
I mean, growing up, he was Danny Tanner, and he was the
Yep.
host of America's Funniest
America's
Home
Funniest
yeah.
Home Videos.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
And then when I got to, I would say it was probably my early 20s when I learned about his stand-up
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
found out how blue he was in his
Mhm.
stand-up, and it is impressive the difference in that man. Like if you grew up with this show, it does not compute
Yeah.
Oh
at
yeah.
all.
Yeah,
Yeah,
breaks your
Mhm.
You
brain.
can't put those together.
When I saw his
Yeah,
cameo
for
in
sure.
Half Baked, I was real confused of what I was hearing out of the mouth of America's dad.
Mhm.
Like, what? Real
um
good.
so he's like, this is bad for sure.
Yeah,
And he's
but-
trying to find Joey, right? He's like,
Mhm.
Yeah, because I mean, it's Joey's car, right? But
right,
let me
because
call.
at
Let me
this
give.
point nobody knows
Mhm.
other than Stephanie, nobody knows how this has happened.
Yeah. It's a mystery. But I got to give
Mhm.
props to Uncle Jesse here because what does he
Mhm.
say when he first comes in? Is everybody okay?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
Yeah.
great job, Proxy Dad. Well done. That's the first question out of your mouth. And then
Sure.
let's figure out what happened.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Oh,
stuff.
So
Oh, also, we do know how the car got in.
yes,
Through
I
the
was
window.
gonna say
Through the
through the
window.
window. Yeah.
As Michelle
so when
said it
when
first.
Kimmy when Kimmy and DJ come in the kitchen, and she goes, "How did it? Do you know how it got? Do you know how Joey's car got in here?" And Michelle says, "Yes." Well, how? Through the window. So then later, like, how did this happen? How did the car get in here? Through the window. Obviously.
Michelle's timing. I mean, there got to be edits involved in this, but her timing
Yeah.
at a 3-year-old is
Mhm.
top
They did
notch.
good job.
Yeah.
Good job. So this is when Danny comes home, right?
Mhm.
They hear
Yep.
him come in. And DJ's like, "Okay, wait. You stall him." And the reasoning behind it is so good.
Yeah.
So Jesse takes Michelle because it'll be harder for Danny to cry in front of her. And he goes to stall Danny, which I don't entirely remember how that went, but not well is my
He
assumption.
didn't really stall him very well.
Yeah,
It was gonna happen. It was just let's talk to him a second. Like, I've got a surprise for you in a minute.
Yeah.
We
Oh,
did have
yeah.
my favorite joke after the car came in through the window is Kimmy when they hear Danny in the other room. They're like, "Where are you guys?" And she just says, "In your new garage."
It
Oh,
was really good.
That was very good.
I love Kimmy.
So yeah, there's a surprise for you. Oh, it must be one of those extra dad days or something,
Oh,
like
yeah.
dad
Oh, yeah.
appreciation days.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's not that.
Which is a thing that they did use in other episodes also.
Mhm.
And so he goes into the kitchen and DJ is there with a camera to capture the look on his face when he sees the car.
Which is such a 12-year-old thing
part.
to do when you're innocent
Mhm.
and you know it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Like, I know I
Um,
didn't do this, so
I
I'm gonna
didn't
have
do
fun
this,
with it.
so I'm gonna capture this for posterity. His big concern, he just waxed the floor.
Yeah.
That
Yes.
was his.
There's your
That was the
Dannyism.
funniest thing because he was a neat freak. That
Yeah.
was a big thing. He was
Mhm.
always cleaning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So his complaint is not the structural integrity of his antique home. It was that he just waxed.
Yeah, because they
floor.
took out some load-bearing stuff, is my assumption.
For
Had to have.
certain.
Yeah.
Because they're very narrow. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the house isn't that deep.
Yeah.
You've definitely taken out some
It's a-
important structural.
It's a
pieces.
very
from the
tall
outside, it's not
shotgun
very deep.
shack.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
tall. Also, the set
this is
people, when
about-
they wrote this episode, had to be real upset that this was going to happen. Because they're
Yeah.
like,
Oh,
dang
sure.
it, we got to rebuild that whole wall.
That whole wall.
And this is about the part where Joey comes home.
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. Yeah, because it's his car.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Well, before that, we've got
Is that when we go
Stephanie.
to
Oh, we
Yeah.
go to
Oh,
Stephanie.
then yeah, that's right. That's right.
So we go to Becky's apartment. And there's a knock on the door. She opens the door and there's Stephanie. And this is the part. Hey, carpool lady, what are you doing?
What the heck are you
Right?
doing? You just gonna decide, like, Stephanie's gonna say, I need to be dropped off downtown at an apartment building, and you just go, okay, 8-year-old child, I haven't talked to your dad or anyone associated with you, but
Yeah.
this seems okay. You told me. And then you go and you're gonna go tell Danny, like, yeah, I dropped your kid off downtown. Like, you're never driving my kid anywhere again.
No.
This is over. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
What the heck?
So Stephanie is there to say goodbye because she's moving to Mexico.
Yeah.
Mhm.
This
The
is a
only
good
logical
line.
thing to do.
This is a
Mhm.
good line. You're not even allowed to cross the street. How are you going to cross the border?
That was good.
Yeah. So Stephanie says that she's got a big problem, like a big and she does have a big problem.
Yeah, she does.
And so Becky is rightly trying to diffuse the situation, you know, and help this poor child who's been dropped off, you know, downtown. And there's a knock at the door, and it's Jesse.
Yep.
Now, because I had put his terrible behavior out of my head because I didn't like it, I'm thinking that they've realized that Stephanie is missing and are trying to find her. No.
Nope,
He's
not yet.
over this whole car thing already.
Right.
And
Yeah.
is just doing his own thing again.
Yeah, Danny's home. He'll
Anyways.
handle it.
Yeah. Stephanie begs Becky not to tell Jesse that she's there, and she
Mhm.
hides in the closet, which gets very good.
It does.
So, Becky opens the door, and Jesse's there, and he's brought flowers, and he's like,
Mhm.
"I heard you talking to somebody." She's like, "No, I do a talk show. I talk," which is I do understand that actually. That's pretty fair. Um, and he's like, and she's like, "Those are beautiful flowers. Are they for me?" And he's like, "Well, yeah, I wanted to apologize. So I was a jerk about that guy." And there's a whole, "Oh, I'm doing it again,"
Mhm.
and she's like, "No, it's okay. Just, be cool.
Yeah.
It's okay." And then he sees Stephanie's bag
Mhm.
on the ground, and he's like, "Whose bag is that?" Like, my dude, my dude, you simply cannot.
Yep.
Um,
Remember,
she's
you're
like, "It's
John
not what you
Stamos.
think," which
Yeah.
is the classic line.
Yeah.
It's not what you think, which is actually true. It's not what he thinks.
Mhm.
And she's like in front of the closet, and he's like, "There's somebody in the closet, isn't there?" He whips the door open, and this is the best
That was the
because
best.
Very good. Very
this is
good.
That got
this
me so
entire
much.
episode is the most middle child episode in the world. Also, um, but he whips open the door, and Stephanie, there's like a coat hanging
Mhm.
in a hanger on a hook on the back of the door, and Stephanie is in it,
Yep.
just like hanging on the
Hanging.
back of the door. Which how she got up there, unknowable.
No idea.
Yeah, that's
No
a
But I
idea.
love it.
powerful
Doesn't matter.
hanger.
She got up there the
Yeah.
same way she was able to reach the pedals in the car.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
car. You're right.
Uh-huh.
She's
So.
got them go gadget boots.
Yes.
There you go.
So Jesse whips the door open. He's like, "Aha!" Just as I thought. There's nobody in there. And then he turns around and he's like face to face with Stephanie.
That was so well
was
done.
really
Like the
clever.
timing of it all,
Mhm.
the
Really
delivery.
good.
Yeah.
Loved that so much.
All right. So now we've got it. So they go home. And
Again, props to Uncle Jesse because he talks to Stephanie.
yeah.
She admits what actually happened. He's
Yeah.
like, you got to face your problems. Let's go
Yeah.
do that together.
Okay, so meanwhile, whether we saw it before or after, I don't remember. But meanwhile, Joey has come home,
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
and he is like, he has no idea what has happened. Because he came in the front
Oh,
door.
just before he gets there, though. Just before he gets there. The one of my favorite lines. It's almost time for dinner. You want me to set the car?
You want me to set the car? Yeah,
And
use the
Danny's
good
like, yeah.
hubcaps.
Use the good hubcaps.
Was
It's
that DJ
really
who
good.
said that, or was that
Yeah.
that
Yeah,
was
it was DJ.
DJ? Oh, DJ's so good in this episode. That was great.
She's so good because she's like, you should, like, I clearly should not have been left in charge, but this is not my doing.
Yep.
Yeah.
No.
But
I was
when-
doing homework.
Yeah.
And when Joey gets home, it's great because like Danny just assumes that it's Joey's fault. That like Joey
Sure.
was somehow
Uh-huh.
because it's his car. Makes
Right.
sense.
Right.
No one knows.
Sure.
So his reaction when he comes in and sees his car, which DJ again is waiting to get the picture. It's
Yep.
real good.
Oh,
And then
because that's the part when Jesse is talking to Stephanie, and she's like something about like how's dad how's dad gonna take it, or what's he gonna think, or whatever, and he's like, well, you can see once DJ gets the pictures back from the 1 hour photo.
but then his
So-
reaction is great and Danny's like, well, so you didn't know about any of this? And he pulls out the tiny little jar of
Yeah.
touch-up
Yeah.
paint. He's like, if I did, I'd have gotten a bigger jar of touch-up paint.
Yeah, so it's good because they have an argument at the front door too, because Danny's mad at Joey about the car, and Joey thinks he's mad because he's like a little late because he ran into somebody while he was out or whatever.
Yep.
Mhm.
And then he sees the car and loses his mind appropriately. So we get that like heartwarming scene, with Danny and Stephanie, and
Mm-hmm.
Oh
like
yeah, the music
yep,
kicks in and
yeah, oh yeah,
the lessons are
yep, you made a
had.
mistake, and you're gonna have to be punished.
I
Which I
got
was
a,
like,
I got a bone
I
to
don't
pick with
know.
this. Yeah,
Yeah.
so look, I'm not gonna tell anybody how to parent, but I'm watching that kid feeling absolutely horrible.
Yeah,
Like
I'm pretty
a
sure the
Mhm.
mistake has
kid was gonna
happened.
go to
She's gonna move to
Mexico.
Mexico, not to outrun the problem, just because she felt so terrible about who she was at the time. And you go, I have to
Yeah.
Mhm.
punish you? Bull crap. That's a mistake.
You
She's
do not.
clearly paying
Yeah.
for it. You do not have
Well,
to
and then she
punish
makes
her.
him pay though for saying that.
Yeah.
Well, I
'Cause
mean,
then
like,
he's like,
he's talking about how it was dangerous and it was stupid, and
yeah,
she immediately is
Sure.
like, everything I do is wrong, and it's just like,
yeah,
oh,
Yeah. I was
the
like,
most
no.
middle child.
Yeah.
hmm
Let's go get a milkshake. That's what you need. A
Yeah.
milkshake.
You know
Like,
what?
hmm
let's get
Yeah.
through this. You're
Yeah.
people make mistakes, you know?
Yeah.
Let's just
But
move
she's
on.
like, no, I should never have allowance again. And you should never hug or kiss me again. And, and it,
hmm
But there was you can
Oh.
tell that was genuine. Like there's no
oh, yeah, yeah,
lies and
yeah.
deceit in there.
No, no,
That's not
no.
she's
Yeah.
not
No.
manipulate. There are kids who
No, no, no,
would
no, no.
and you would
Oh,
know.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's not what
hmm
she's
That is not
doing.
that. She's like,
No.
no, this is it. This was the
Yeah.
last straw. Surely.
Really, I'm not gonna be allowed to
Um,
live here anymore.
yeah. And he's like, no, there's nothing that you could ever do that would make me not love you. And you go,
Yeah.
Mhm.
oh,
But you can do lots of things for me to ground you.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
That's what I got out of that.
Yeah.
yeah.
Then
But I would,
okay, that final line got me though when he's talking about, everything's just things, but there's only one Stephanie Tanner. And she's
yeah.
like, I never thought of it like that. And he's like, I think about it every day. And I'm like, when you remember that he lost his
Lost
wife
his wife.
Yeah.
and
Yep.
has only his 3 girls, you're like, yep.
Yep. Yep.
hmm
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Every day.
That will get you.
Turns out, oh no, all right, that's the ranking list. Never mind. I thought it was like the next episode was the one with the grandpa, but it's not.
Oh.
It's just in this list that I happened to see. I was like, oh no.
I did feel like
So
this episode, like that's the closing scene, and then the episode
Yeah.
it's credits. This episode needed a closing stinger gag somewhere. Like it just ended and it's credits and you go
Yeah.
home. Like I feel like it
Yep.
really wanted them actually having dinner on the car or something
Yes.
to
Yeah.
That would've
lift
been
you
good.
back up. Like to
Right.
not just drop you on
Yeah,
your
yeah,
head
yeah.
and close it out. I felt
But that
jarred
was-
by that.
That also though felt like what I remembered Full House being like,
Yeah.
where it would
Yeah.
do that a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah.
It would have those lessons, and that was the final scene. And you're right. I would have liked them eating on the car. That would have been
Yeah.
funny.
hmm
Yeah, brought some levity back into this comedy show.
Which I do wonder if
That's
the
for the
if
next
the
show.
original
Yeah.
right, but I also wonder if the original premise would have done stuff like that because initially it was 3 comedians living together
hmm
and
Yeah.
they didn't have kids. And
Oh,
then-
that's interesting.
and it slowly morphed into what it became. So I thought that was kind of funny reading about that.
Fascinating. I
Also,
didn't know that.
somebody at the beginning of the episode mentioned My Two Dads,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
No,
makes
that-
and
yeah.
the character of Danny came down to Bob Saget and Paul Reiser.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh wow.
We almost had Paul Reiser in this, but he wasn't available, and Bob Saget ended up becoming available, and that's how he got the role. So
Well, I'm glad he wasn't available because he ended up doing Mad About You, and this crossed paths with that, didn't it? Like I think Mad About
yeah,
You came
definitely.
out, was running the same time this was, like 94 to something probably,
hmm
but
Yeah.
it was definitely there, and that wouldn't be a show without Paul Reiser. So some things work out for the better.
hmm
Oh,
For
sure.
sure. There was also an unaired pilot with John Posey as Danny Tanner.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, but there's a lot of shows that have that unaired pilot, and they make a
Yeah.
change to them. One cast member or something like that. Although it's
Yeah.
funny, too. We almost didn't get 8 seasons of this show. It nearly was canceled after its first season. The
Oh,
ratings
wow.
weren't great after season 1, but they moved its time slot during the reruns after the season had ended, and its ratings shot up, and so then they renewed it and they went on for another season. And Bob Saget was going to leave too. He didn't, apparently, according to what I read anyway, he didn't love the writing in the first season, and so they changed things around. Or because Danny's less of a neat freak early on, he's more of just kind of
Yeah.
like a lot like Joey and Jesse.
And he starts out as like a sports reporter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They reworked a
is like-
lot as they went with this
Yeah.
show.
And I feel like that happened a lot more back then.
Oh,
Yeah.
So the place where they moved it for the second season, where it became more popular,
Mhm.
was immediately following Perfect Strangers.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
That helps.
those
There you go.
pairs right together.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What's funny to me about the
So
show
that's
is
good.
that you said it ran from, 87 to 95, something like that? And
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel this show always stands out to me as a 80s to very early 90s show.
Yeah.
I remember it like 92. I did not realize it went all the way to 95. Like I had
Oh.
no
Yeah.
clue that it went that far. But like this show evolved a lot. People progressed.
Yeah.
A lot of
Oh,
times you
yeah.
watch a show where people were kind of just stuck in an era and we just watched them in
Yeah,
that
yeah.
era. This, I mean, people got married, people moved in, moved out,
Mhm.
got new jobs. We had 2 new twins show up when Michelle got
Right.
too old. Like
Yeah.
it was just, I mean, it kept going. They kept finding
Oh, we
new
had
places in
actual
this house to
twins show
cram
up.
people. Yeah, we
Yeah.
had
Yeah, it was-
actual twins.
Like it was the thing, I think I read, like this season and season 4 were the only seasons of the show that didn't have like cast changes,
Wow.
because after that, somebody would leave or somebody would get added. Like Kimmy wasn't a regular on this show until like season 5 or 6,
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
think. Becky came along during season 2 and then became a regular after that kind of stuff. So it was like the show was always in flux, and the girls were what, 10, 8, and or 10. How old was Stephanie when it started? I guess 8,
Yeah, probably
or something
9
like
or 10.
that.
Yeah,
7, 8,
yeah,
8.
Mhm.
something like that.
Because I think DJ's like 10 when the show starts and is 18 by the time it ends.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they all the girls grew up a lot during the
Yeah.
series.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, that's Full House, and I feel like this is a pretty, like, I mean, it's a pretty extreme thing to happen, but it is nonetheless a pretty typical episode
Yeah.
of Full House.
Yeah.
We got everybody in there pretty much. We had
Mhm.
no,
We got everybody
there were
in
no
there.
Joey voices.
That
No,
was
not
the
this time.
only thing we were
Yeah.
missing, but we had an issue with a car too. Like every
Mhm.
season, something happened with a car in this show. Somebody was car breaking down or driving a car into something, or like it seemed like that was
Which
their
it's so expensive
go-to.
to have a car in San Francisco.
Yeah,
You
Right.
why
just-
do it?
It's
Yeah.
just, there's
Yeah.
nowhere.
We did good to have a Kimmy and Becky episode this early on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that's pretty. We got a real good sample of what would become the core cast of this show.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
I do like if you think about this episode from Becky's point of view, right? Because she's still fairly new in this relationship,
Right.
and her boyfriend and coworker, that like this child just shows up at her door,
Mhm.
and she's like, "Okay, I guess I'll deal with this situation then."
Yeah.
It's pretty good from her point of view. I do
And volunteers to move in later and live in the attic that they decide
Yeah.
exists because it has to. You know?
I mean, they are really tall houses.
They are
Mhm.
really
It's true.
tall, but it would take a lot for me to move into an attic with my boyfriend and or I guess husband at that point and twins. Like time to
Yeah.
get a place of our own. I think. Then they have a basement
think
too,
so,
because
too.
doesn't Jesse end up with a music studio
Music
in the
studio.
basement?
Yeah,
Mhm.
because
There's
that was
eight-
Joey's room, right?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
This
Joey
is-
started out in the basement.
This is Wayside
With his
Stories
puppets.
from
He had puppets. He had the chip, the
the
woodchuck.
beaver,
the wood,
woodchuck.
the wood
Woodchuck.
thing.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember
He
that.
was like Ranger
That was
Rick
the
or
alternate
something.
title for this show. I
Yeah,
remember that.
that'd have been a good one.
Eh.
That's how our live show went. I remember that. Me too. Next question.
Yep.
Fantastic. All right, boys. So we have revisited Full House, and I want to know what you all thought of it. And I'll start with you, Steven.
I loved it. I definitely cringe at the cringy moments, particularly the end with the heartfelt music. But there were some really good jokes. There was a lot of fun. It was popcorn ball weird stuff shouldn't happen kind of thing, but like for a broadcast sitcom, like I'd watch reruns of this. This is great. Sure. Let's go.
Audie, how about you?
Yeah, same. It was great. It was a big nostalgia bomb. It was fun
Yeah.
revisiting it for sure.
Trav.
Yeah, this was like the textbook definition of an 80s family sitcom,
Mhm.
right down to, the music and the lesson at the end, and then just everything resets back to the status quo.
Yeah.
But the humor in it, the jokes played a lot better than I remember. Like my memory of them was it was a lot cornier, and there certainly was corny moments in it, but
Yeah.
I also like genuinely laughed. Like John Stamos was fantastic.
So good.
We got very little Dave Coulier, but he's funny.
Mhm.
And Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen at that age to have that level of charisma and that presence on screen is incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, it was a lot of fun.
Good. I'm so glad. So we have one more week of sitcoms
We do.
here. We have a poll available before I forget. We'll have a poll
Yeah.
available for
Mhm.
you all to choose our next topic. We actually remembered this time.
Yeah, it'll be in the show
Which is
notes.
a nice change. It'll be in the show notes.
We'll tweet
for
it.
you to please go. Yeah, we'll put it
Yeah.
out in the socials. To please help us pick our next topic. But we have one more week of sitcoms. It goes over to my very good friend Travis. Travis, a sitcom, if you would. For I want to point out episode 100 of this show.
Oh, snap. Are we there?
Oh,
Yeah.
Holy
Mhm.
cow. Look out, everybody.
Mhm.
holy hand grenades, Batman.
know.
So sitcoms. I thought long and hard about this. I looked at a lot of different sitcoms. There was TGIF staples like Step by Step that I thought about.
Mhm.
I thought about going a little bit further back in the 80s with something like Family Ties
Mhm.
was one.
We do need to get there though.
Yeah,
We do at some point. Oh no, these are
Yeah.
all going to be episodes at
Mhm.
some point from some of us. But I thought about those. I thought about the Beverly Hillbillies was a sitcom I watched a ton of reruns of. Sanford and Son was another one. I'm like, oh man, get some Red Fox.
The goat. The goat.
But I settled on none of those. Instead, we are going to the year 3000. We're going to Futurama.
Holy
because
cow.
What?
We can do that. So, season 2, episode 20, Interesting Tales, where Professor Farnsworth has his what if machine. And that's what we're going to watch is the adventures of those crazy kids in Futurama, because as soon as I thought about it, I'm like, wait a minute, Futurama's a sitcom. Futurama
It is a
started in
sitcom.
1999. Done. We're doing that. So that's what we're doing. We're doing some crazy Matt Groening, David X. Cohen created buffoonery.
I'm ready.
It's gonna be amazing.
Let me at it.
Fantastic.
It's funny how every episode since the one I did, we've done the 20th episode of a season.
Right?
Yeah.
Modern Family,
Yeah.
Full House,
Yeah.
and now Futurama.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
It was like when we did holiday episodes, and they were all like, it's
17.
like because the seasons all start at the same
Yep.
point, so it's all the same episode. Wild times.
That's great.
Did we get any feedback, boys?
Oh shoot. Yeah, fan mail. Let's see. Let me do
Let's
a real quick
go.
let me consult the Oracle here. That is not the email account I needed to look at. This one is. Let's see. In the Gmail, we
Just
got
the
no
typical
fan
likes.
mail.
How dare?
Yep. Where are you
Um,
people? Get on it.
That's fine.
No,
That's
I got the
fine.
usual likes on the socials, no real responses.
It's
All right.
not fine. We need your email. I'm coming for you.
All right. Well, so you better. It's not a threat, but it might be.
It could
So
be.
you can email us at thosewerethedayshow@gmail.com. We're on the platform formerly known as Twitter at Those Days Show. We will eventually be other places, but all of our personal social media is in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
So you can find us around. Is there any other business? Do we have more business?
No, business.
Other
I
than me
don't think
selling
so.
my book for usual.
Business is
gonna
goes. Oh
say,
yeah, aquilo.com/book.
Buy my
That's your
book.
business.
It's
Buy
gonna be
Amy's
so
my
good.
book. Buy
Buy
my
my
book.
book. It's gonna be so good, you guys.
This is
and
gonna be
you should
great.
Just get it.
I ordered 3 copies, and you should also do the same, listener.
I
Yes,
appreciate
I
you.
did as well.
Congratulations on becoming a
Mhm.
citizen of Aquilo.
Yes.
The special exclusive bonus episode for backers will be going out soon. TM.
Ooh.
So that's very exciting. So yeah, aquilo.com/book. ACHEWILLOW. All right. So that was Full House. That was all of the paperwork we do at the end of an episode.
Yeah, it's also. We see
And
documenting
so-
crusties, dash eyes. Yep.
Yeah, and check. And so, until next week in Futurama, for Audie, for Travis, for Steven, I am Amy, and thank you for watching. Those were the days.